unimaginable profusion of olive oil from her body. Dr. Anton Monseur, a prominent Beverly Hills surgeon, has studied this phenomenon extensively.
Being a physician, I tried to explain her extraordinary phenomena scientifically and medically. And to be honest with you, I failed. Because all the science, my examination, medically, proved to be that this lady is quite in a good health. And what happened to her cannot be explained medically.
Many physical and spiritual healings have taken place through the anointing of this oil. Even copies of the icon that have been sent around the world, as well as those images brought into the home, have also reportedly begun weeping. In Trinidad on Thursday, February 15, 1996, the nuns of the Corpus Christi Carmelite order witnessed a statue of Our Lady of Lourdes weeping tears of blood. One of the country's most respected scientists, Professor of Medicine Courtney Bartholomew, was called to investigate. He had the blood tested at a leading forensic laboratory and found the substance to be human blood. The statue would weep again the following year and a third time on February 20th, 1997, each time bleeding more profusely. Professor Bartholomew personally witnessed the event.
She wept tears of blood at first in Trinidad and then plain tears afterwards. And I think it was because just after the weeping of blood, many of us went in the chapel and prayed fervently and assuaged her sorrow and turned her blood into plain tears. And we can do further than that. We could pray enough and convert and turn her tears into dryness, and she will cry no more. How can you turn the tears of a mother from grief into joy? Simply by doing as she says.
In Houston, Texas, in the home of the Ayub family, miraculous cures are being reported and numerous images are said to weep. During the filming of this segment, as a visible sign and to the amazement of all present, the eyes of this image of Christ welled up and cried. What you are witnessing is actual footage. The substance flowing from the eyes is pure olive oil. In the home of the Ayub family, there are many paintings, icons, and statues made from a myriad of different materials. All weep a mysterious, fragrant oil. Amazingly, even images independently brought in from other places have wept this mysterious oil. Structural tests have determined that there is nothing unusual about the construction of either the house or the prayer room that could cause oil to form on religious objects. The origin of the tears remains a mystery. One of the most remarkable manifestations of these tears of love occurred in Cochabamba, Bolivia. Cochabamba is a place of great color, contrast, and diversity, a place where the people show an openness to their faith, as vividly expressed in a monument of Christ that overlooks their city. It is here that a statue of Jesus Christ has been reported weeping blood. In a documentary by Australian lawyer and producer Ron Tesoriero, the phenomenon of this weeping statue was filmed and examined. Watch closely in this rare video as a tear begins to well about an inch below the right eye. The tear now moves slowly down the face and eventually falls. Cochabamba Television ran the story shortly after the lacrimations began.
As a reporter, when I first came here, I was skeptical. But I was there for over an hour and a half. And there was no way that anybody ever got close to it. And there was no way that anybody could have put water or any substance that would have made it look like tears or blood. As we were talking to people, we saw a tear. a tear in his left eye, and it began to roll down the face. Then I took a small piece of cloth, and after I wiped the tear away, I realized that we actually had a drop of blood, and this cloth shows what I was able to wipe off the face.
Professor Ricardo Castañón is a neuropsychophysiologist who specializes in the subject of understanding the brain and human behavior. Over the past 6 years, he has investigated individuals around the world who claim to have apparitions of Christ and the Virgin Mary. His studies also include related mystical phenomena of the stigmata and weeping statues reported in Akita, Japan, in Civitavecchia, Italy, and here in Cochabamba, Bolivia.
I saw the blood coming out from his left eye. Then I decided to take a sample. The best place was 5-6 centimeters below the left eye, and I took the sample. Here we have a cotton with a little bit of blood, but I have taken this sample direct from the eye. For this I can say that I did it and that I saw it. But for me it's not enough to have only the typical analysis type of blood. I would like to have the DNA analysis. After I took the sample, I kept the sample only by myself all the time, and there's no chance that somebody could have touched this one.
Professor Castañón decided to have the blood officially tested at a genetic testing laboratory in the United States. He personally handed the samples over for testing so that it could not be said that knowledge of the origin influenced the outcome of the test.
If there's adequate DNA present, we can run it through our PCR-based testing systems and generate a human genetic profile.
The laboratory, after a thorough investigation, determined that results showed positively that there was human DNA present in the blood sample submitted. To further validate the lab's findings, another sample was then submitted to an Australian state government forensic laboratory that independently arrived at the same conclusion and thus confirmed the authenticity of the first findings. This was indeed human blood with human DNA present. But for many, this evidence may still not be enough to convince them that these are truly miraculous tears. So the statue was then subjected to a computerized axial tomographical scanner, commonly known as a CAT scan. This equipment shoots a thin beam of X-rays through the object from many angles and produces cross-sectional images on a computer screen. These sectional cuts enabled every component of the image to be identified and closely examined. In this way, they would be able to determine if the statue had any holes or